Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum dear viewers, and welcome to you who are watching us from different parts of the globe, and a special salam to those who are watching us through our live streaming on our YouTube. Today we have a very different topic. Generally Thursday belongs to marriage. With us we have a very esteemed guest, a very dear guest, Sheikh Dr Zaid Alsalami, joining us in the studio. We're going to ask him a lot of questions about saving our marriage. My name is Baid Tanha, your host, bringing another edition of The Viewpoint. Welcome back. It's very simple to get in touch with us. You can leave your messages as private message on our Facebook. Also, you can leave your comments on our videos using our YouTube, indeed. And also, you may give us a call during it's being live streamed. Any question regarding to the marriage on Thursday are welcome. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh Dr Zaid, you're the most welcome. And of course, if you have anything to say to the dear viewers, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you for giving me this opportunity, and greetings to you, and greetings to the audience. Thank you.
So I'm going to start with this question. I'm going to get to the point. Why should I get married, indeed?
We might think that the marriage topic is a overrated, cliche kind of topic where too many people talk about it, and we're always bombarded with the subject of marriage and these things. But if we look at finding the pinpoint of why is there so much of an emphasis on marriage, and what does Islam have that stands out in respect to all other civilizations or religions, we can see that the central focus in Islam is not on marriage for what marriage is in itself, but what it results in. Because a well-stabled family, a successful family, a healthy functioning family is a healthy society, a well-stabled society, a positive society, because our society is made up of families. So when Islam comes out and says that half of your religion is marriage, as the Holy Prophet, praise and peace be upon him, has said, or when Islam says that it is the sunnah of the religion to get married, or when Islam sees the intentional avoiding of marriage as something bad, as something negative, then we can understand that there must be a philosophy behind this. There must be a reason. Why is there so much of a strong emphasis on the institutes of marriage in Islam? If we were to understand this, then most certainly we would know why we should get married, and of course the follow-up questions that come along with that: who should we get married to, what should we do in preparation for marriage, and all of the other topics and discussions that come along with that. So yes, even though it's something that we're constantly hearing about and we're always eager to learn more about, but understanding the very reason as to what marriage does and the results that it gives us as a society as a whole, that's where our religion, Islam, really stands out.
Thank you. The question, people out there would say marriage is something, I don't know, social, it's something psychological. Maybe even Muslim would say we don't need Islam to actually give us advices. This is I mean, every counselor, maybe a non-Muslim counselor, should give us some, or would give us some actually advice in terms of marriage, when it comes to marriage. But what Islam has to give us when it comes to marriage? I mean, what as a person, as a Muslim or even non-Muslim, why should I go for Islam to give me some advice?
So a successful or an unsuccessful marriage in itself might be beyond the perimeters of, let's say, spirituality and religion and everything else. Why we might say that we have some very religious individuals who were not successful in marriage, and we have some irreligious people who have been very successful in marriage.
That's the point.
So does religion automatically give you some kind of immunity that enables you to be successful in your marriage? Obviously not. It's similar to all other aspects and dimension in our society, in moral practices, and also in religion. The act in itself, which has been endorsed and emphasized by our religion, is only one aspect of a successful marriage or spouse selection or everything else. But what Islam does is give you that element of not only it being a social factor, but also the spiritual, moral, and ukhrawi side of it. So, for example, ukhrawi in the sense of the hereafter. So, when we look at it, it's not something purely materialistic, nor is it something purely physical. It's something that's beyond that. And that's why when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi says that marriage is half of religion, or when he says that marriage is his sunnah, in fact here he is saying that not only will you be able to cover your social, physical needs, but your spiritual, mental side will also be completely saturated. And I think that's why we need to refer back to Islam and look at the detailed guidelines. In Islam, it does not only lead you to the process of marriage, but it also holds your hand and carries you on after marriage. Unfortunately, we might think that, well, it all starts when you're single and it ends at the time of you making the right, hopefully the right selection for a spouse. But what happens after that? What are the issues of, for example, finding ways of conflict resolution and staying away from problems? You know, we can't trick ourselves and avoid the dark side of problems that exist in family, and the very, very unfortunate high rates of divorce that we can see in our societies, Muslim and non-Muslim, unfortunately. And it is devastating. No one's happy about that. But at the same time, if we were to cherish and honor what it is that our religion has told us such a long time ago, and correlate that with any other kind of advice that might be given to us, we will be able to combine all these things together. The dunyawi side of it, of being a successful individual in himself, in herself, and also the ukhrawi sides. In the hereafter, you will be able to reap those rewards of you not having oppressed your spouse, of you having honored the sanctity of that relationship and everything else.
You said something about actually the high rate of divorce, unfortunately. I know that you've been dealing with youth in Sydney, Australia for many years in this regard. So what would you think about the biggest problem or the biggest mistake or mistakes that people usually make for choosing their future wife or husband? And or even what would be the biggest mistake at the first place about their thoughts of marriage? I mean, they expect something, but they're gonna be facing something else. What would be those misunderstandings?
I have a lot to say about
yeah,
that.
Of course.
Because unfortunately it's something that I am very passionate about when it does come to things like marriage and family and that sanctity of keeping something alive, because it's very, very difficult to get married, but it's very, very easy to get divorced. And that's the ironic thing that we unfortunately are facing in today's society. If I was to tell you the main reason as to why people come forward and ask for divorce and what they write in their divorce application form, I think the most common reason is a 3-word sentence: lack of communication. Or maybe if they want to abbreviate that and make it even smaller, they'll probably say miscommunication. But it's surprising for me to always hear this, that you are living with someone and you're there with them all the time, but yet you can't have a proper talk, you can't communicate, you can't express your feelings. But that doesn't happen overnight. There's a build-up of this, distancing of the hearts, unfortunately.
And before actually you continue, I'm sorry for interruption. We have a short break.
Okay.
We have a short break, brothers and sisters. Stay tuned, we'll be back soon.
Imam Ali and Lady Fatima, Imam Hussein was born on the 4th year after migration on 4th of Sha'ban in Holy Medina. His name was chosen by the Holy Prophet and on his...
This is lifestyle.
When we get sick, we expect doctors to heal us, a person to take care of us, our mothers to cuddle us, our fathers to buy us the medicines, our spouses to make the home quiet enough for having a rest, our friends to call us, and so on and so forth. But there's a question.
Can you imagine that the manner in which man, through these different stages, is led and perfected can take place without a designer and a creator? Do you think that if the menstrual flow...
Of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Well, this episode I'm going to talk about the prayer of the passengers, means those people who are going to go on a trip or they want to travel to some places. Well, there are some conditions that if you meet the conditions, it means that you have to say half of some of
the last time in which I rise up and address you. So listen, obey and comply with the commands of your Lord. Allah the Exalted is indeed your guardian and Lord. Below him comes Muhammad, your guardian who is standing up.
You go and visit Ahlul Bayt, you go to visit Imam Hussein's shrine, and you ask Imam Hussein to heal you. Healing is the duty of God. So you ask Imam Hussein to heal you, then you believe that Imam Hussein is God, then you are mushrik.
Physical pain, but that is clouded by the emotions that you feel when you're walking towards Imam Hussein.
Welcome back, dear viewers. Sheikh Dr. Salam was telling us that maybe the biggest problem of the couples these days is the lack of communication or lack of communication skills, indeed. So if you want to continue about this specific problem, you're welcome.
Yeah, I think I was saying that it's just very ironic that a couple can be living in the same house together under the one roof, but yet have problems with communicating and talking to each other. And I was saying that it doesn't come up all of a sudden overnight. It's a build-up of the distancing of the hearts, and we need to pinpoint where the issues are coming from and find ways of solving it should it have reached such a level. And the option of divorce is not something that should be quickly proposed on the table. There are many ways of, we can call it salvaging the relationship. But we're probably going a little bit ahead because there are so many things that we are able to do from the very beginning, from the early stages.
Like what?
Of correct spouse selection, for example. We need to make the right choice. And my experience, I can say confidently that the overwhelming majority of people in today's society do not heed to advice. They find it upon themselves because of some assumption of level of maturity and them being university graduates or having a stable job or everything else. They can take it upon themselves to find their own spouse by themselves, avoiding any kind of involvement from the mother, from his or her parents, or anything else, and that might turn into a successful relationship. But at the same time, we understand that there are many people who don't have that ability of distinguishing or finding someone who could be appropriate for them, not only at the immediate present time, but also in the distant future. You know,
so let's go for something more practical. I mean, I'm a person, I'm about to get married, and I need to start with something. I mean, I need to find someone. What would be the first criterion that I should take in my consideration?
My opinion is consultation with your family members, with your elders, those who are closer to you. Ask your mother, who knows you better than your mother? And maybe your mother might say you are a little bit immature. Maybe your father might...
Mothers always would say that.
Yeah. Maybe your father might say that, you know, finish your degree. Work around these things. You know, prove to your mother that you are not her little baby anymore. You know, even though in the mother's eyes, a son, a daughter, they're always the babies.
Even if you're 60, they would actually have that.
They'll still see you as your little baby. Yeah. And as a parent, I can feel that myself. But we need to go beyond that. And there needs to be that level of child-parent communication where a son, a daughter is comfortable in expressing their feelings and saying these things, you know. So as a parent, you know, we also need to bring about that culture of listening and talking and trying to meet the requirements and the needs of our growing children, our teenagers, our young adults, and accommodating to their needs, listening to what it is that they have in their opinions. So in answering your question, I would say the first thing is consulting with those who know you best, your parents, your family members, and say, what do you think about who should be the best spouse for me? And then go one step further and create your own kind of personal independent take on who the spouse needs to be. Educate yourself, read. We have a problem really, people don't read. People don't learn about what they need to do. If you want to read an Islamic-based book, if you want to read a non-Islamic-based book, finding a spouse itself is a skill. Preserving the marriage itself is a skill. Let's learn it. You weren't born with these things. You have to learn it. Once upon a time, you know, family members would get involved and elders and the tribe and the community. But now, unfortunately, we live in a very individualized society. Everyone wants to live in their own little small pockets. And therefore, the first thing that people would usually say is, I'm not going to get involved, it's none of my business, let them deal with their problems on their own. But this has led to a lot of problems. Yes, of course, I don't mean that we need to pry into the personal lives of others, but there needs to be some kind of culture of trying to reconcile, and find that harmony that exists between people. Involve yourself in assisting someone to get married. Look at the ahadith that we have from Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, that talks about what they call al-jama' bayn al-ra'sayn, bringing two individuals together. Wajabat lahu al-jannah, that heaven will become incumbent and obligatory for someone who facilitates for two individuals getting married.
That was very well said indeed. But you know, the problem is these days, that's why actually there's such a great reward for this, because when you go, actually, when you settle someone to get married with someone else, and if things go wrong, after that,
the blame comes back to you.
Yeah, the blame is yours, of course. That's the problem. That's the problem. And they always actually see you as a person who started every single problem in their lives. So I'm going to actually get back to you, but again, we have a short break and we'll be back soon. Dear brothers, dear sisters, we have a short break. I think that's Lifestyle Promo. Be back soon.
This is Lifestyle. Lifestyle is a beautiful home that is going to shelter your possible concerns, questions, and fears. You are more than welcome. We are going to provide a warm and a cozy place for you. That's all I can say.
We want you all to raise your voice about things in your life concerning the topics that we're going through. We don't want this to be a program that's at you, but one that communicates with you and takes into consideration all the ideas and the experiences that you've had, as well as your questions in Ahkam, and we have experts here to answer them.
Me and my team try our best to provide the programs behind which there are several hours of hard work and research. I'm Fatemeh Shameli. I'm very, very passionate about cooking and baking, and I'm a foodie, a big fan of food. All of the recipes that I've shared with you are tried and tested by myself at my home with my family, and then they're brought into the kitchen of cooking time.
And you know, she's sharing a lot of information, hadith, with us about the cooks that she's cooking, and the foods are really delicious, trust me. My name is Vahid Tanha, the production manager and the executive producer of Lifestyle. You know, we have different items, also we have different guests coming and going, sharing the information with us. We have great items named with the name of Cooking Time, which you're gonna learn a lot of recipes, halal recipes. When it's not around, you're gonna miss it.
Through this program, you can have different opinions and ideas about contemporary topics. Please call us, text us, and join us.
We are using a lot of very special ingredients in our shows, which may not be easily accessible in the West. That's why we have thought about making it available to all of you brothers and sisters through a website called Bosalam, and they ship worldwide. So wherever in the world it is that you are living, we are going to ship our highest quality of ingredients to your doorstep. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Lifestyle.
Welcome back. You have no idea how simple to get in touch with us. You just need to leave your private message on our Facebook or use our YouTube to leave your comments. Also, you may give us a call while it's being live streamed. We're talking about marriage and how we need to build up our marriage. We got to the communication skill, and now Sheikh Zaid narrated a very beautiful hadith about the reward of someone who can facilitate someone else's marriage. So, but we got to this point that if you do that, sometimes the blame is yours, since maybe things go wrong. Indeed, what would you say in those occasions?
Continue on with what it is that you're doing, even though a person might be reluctant to apply this very important sunnah in our lives of accommodating, facilitating in marriage, but you haven't done anything wrong. And the blame should not be directed to you, someone else's fault. It's very similar to, for example, a criminal blaming a hardware shop for selling them a hammer or something like that, that they used to go and rob a house and break a window or something like that, you know? If someone else failed at something, why does the blame need to come back and fall onto you? Unless, for example, you concealed pieces of vital information that would be relevant to someone's success in marriage or not. And that's why, a very important point here, one of the cases where ghibah, which is the revealing of someone's concealed faults, becomes permissible in the time of marriage, asking for someone about information in relation to somebody else. If I'm asking you, what do you think about brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so, I want to propose to them. And if you have information, even though in normal circumstances it would be classified as backbiting and ghibah, in this circumstance it is permissible, or it might even become obligatory and wajib. And that would allow you to avoid any responsibility on the day of judgment, and also make sure that I am well aware of what it is that I am getting into when it does come to marrying someone. And that's why this culture of marriage and spreading the culture of marriage is really important for all of us, because it doesn't stop just then and there when you do get married. We need to learn about everything before marriage, everything after marriage.
That's the point. You know, that's the matter of understanding. What you just said. How can we increase our understandings?
Yes, because, you know,
and we have only 1 minute.
1 minute.
Yeah.
We need to learn things that would allow us to have a successful marriage, and what leads to having a good marriage, a healthy marriage, and also what we can do to sustain that marriage. Books is the only solution. Listening to lectures, yes, it does heal the whole dilemma of gaining information about this topic, but getting back to the old traditional way of picking up a book and reading it. We don't do much of this nowadays, unfortunately. And we have to do that. We have to get back into that tradition of and that culture of reading and gaining information. Prepare yourself for that. Test yourself. Gain that skill that you need, because not only are you going to benefit, other people in society will benefit. You'll become a vocal point for other people to come and seek advice from you and listen to what it is that you have when you're in a gathering, when you're out and about, and you have a key word that you want to explain, or you remember a hadith from Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, or some kind of very strong, solid advice that you can give someone. That doesn't come from doing nothing. It comes from reading and educating yourself. So, like everything else that we have, the key point is education and learning and reading, and that will give you that broader understanding of what it is that you need to do for spouse selection, for the early stages of marriage, and also sustaining the marriage.
Thank you. We have a lot
You're
to say,
welcome.
but unfortunately the time has gotten better of us. Thank you, dear viewers. From the entire team here in Haghighattv TV, I must say you goodbye. Say goodbye.